The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
It's time to go on the mat, a presentation of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum. It's brought to you by Rolling Ford in Shell Rock.
Welcome to On the Mat. This is Jeff Bradley with a special UNI Panther PWC edition. I'm going to run 3 segments. The first 2 are going to be with Doug Schwab, the University of Northern Iowa head coach and 2008 Olympian. We're going to talk about, obviously, UNI wrestling a little bit, but we're going to talk about the Olympics in those 2 segments. And then our third segment will be with UNI heavyweight J.J. Everard, and he's going to call in from, I think he's visiting his parents out in Las Vegas, so we'll track him down. But Doug's sitting here with me right now. Doug, good afternoon. How are you?
Super, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
I was just thinking it was, we're into August now. School's going to start shortly. Where's the summer went?
It just keeps going faster and faster, doesn't it? I mean, man, I remember when a kid, it seemed like it lasts forever. And then you get to where school's about to start, and then either you're really excited for school or, like, one of my boys is real excited for school, and the other one...
Not so much?
No, not at all.
Somebody told me one time, and I didn't really understand this until I probably got a little older, but the minutes go by slow, but the years go by fast. Yeah, and if you actually think about it that way, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah,
so
it is. Hey,
let's start out with, it's August. We got an event coming up that's a great PWC event, UNI golf outing. It's going to be on August 27th. I just want you to speak a little bit on that, and we're going to talk about a couple other outings we're going to have, but this is a huge fundraiser for us and just a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a great event. I think I remember the first one we had maybe about 50, 60 people, and then, Larry Hamilton really took the bull by the horns and made that his event, and actually it's named after him. They have a cup that they give now, the Larry Hamilton, cup for the winning team. So, we've had guys like Randy Schaefer and the rest of the club really pick up the slack, because you can't replace a guy like Larry. I mean, just the amount of effort and the amount of energy and time that he put into this and just the PWC and UNI wrestling in general was just incredible. But, he really made this event his, and we've been sold out the last handful of years and have a ton of sponsors, and it's a huge event for us, a huge celebration of Panther wrestling, and looking forward to the season that's about to come forward and really talk about what these guys are going to, and then what our UNI team's doing too. I mean, that's that's always part of it too. So I think it's excitement for the new year, and it's a great way to kick off. Great way to kick off. Getting back to school and getting things back going again, and thinking about wrestling, because it'll be November before you know it.
So I know Coach Robbins is, I think, more or less in charge of the golf outing and the clay shoot, which we'll talk about in a minute. Are we filled up? Foursomes? Do we have a little room for anybody?
We still got room. There's still room, and if we have to have a few extra groups, we'll do that. I know there was a few years where we had over the the number that they want. I think 144 is kind of the target number, and we had a few groups out after that or beyond that. So if we have to do that, we'll do that too.
So contact the wrestling office.
Brett Robbins or my wife or Mark Showalter or Randy Schaefer, any of the club. They'll be able to get the information that you need, and I'll be able to get the information you need and get it to you, and let's get that thing filled up, and let's get people excited about Panther wrestling.
That sounds good. And once again, it's August 27th. Clay shoot coming up September 18th. Kind of a newer event for us, but talk that through a little bit. I know the numbers have been way up the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been something that's grown. I think that's sometimes with events, you got to start somewhere. And then, if you look at the golf outing, too, I talked about it the first year. I think it was maybe 50 or 60, and then there was 100, and then we've been sold out. That's the same thing with this. It's something that's grown, and Kettleson does a great job with that. He puts a lot of time and effort into it. Some people aren't golfers. They'd rather get their shotgun out and shoot. Yeah. And these guys, they're extremely competitive. When you get up to them and they got their blinders on, and these guys are shooting to knock down every one of the marks. So it's actually pretty fun. It's competitive in different ways, and it's a different group of people that maybe don't come to the golf outing. They come to that, and they're all competitive, and I think we can all talk about being the best at something. I think that's one of the common grounds. It doesn't matter what it is. We can talk about being an Olympic champion or world champion or national champion, I think we can all understand, striving for greatness and that we can't do it alone. It's something that we'll never be able to do by ourselves. It doesn't matter who it is, and that's and we need our sponsors. We need people that are going to support that and give back to our guys so they can train, so our coaches can go out and we can get them all around the world and all around the country so they can go and compete and have their chance to be we're talking about Olympics, but 2020 will be here before we know it too,
Sure.
I know this Olympics is going on, but the training for that, I know we talk about Olympics a little bit, but the training for that's already started. 2020, these people, the people that are trying to be Olympians now, that's already in motion. It's not like, 2019 we'll get going here. It's something that's already in motion. That's what we're trying to do with our club guys right now too. That, hey, this is something. If this is truly what you want to do, then every choice that you make has to be geared towards that. And that's going to give you the best opportunity to do that. And I've got to pick and choose, you know what? Well, today's not really important, man. Today's as important as any other day. So I think we're trying to get our guys to understand that today's the day. And it doesn't matter what day it is. Every day is important. And all those days stack up where, you're talking about 4 years from now. You're talking about 6 months from now. You're talking about when we get to March, guys are ready to win, national championships, So that's what we're trying to get those guys. And then it just becomes more of a life habit. That's how we do everything.
All right. So, Clay Shoot, September 18th. Let's mark that down. Last one we're going to talk about, and I think it's probably the most important. It's homecoming plus our Hall of Fame inductees. Mm-hmm. Homecoming is October 1st. Just a great – we just have a great event there. I think we've got – UNI Wrestling's got the biggest tent every year. Mm-hmm. Tons of alumni come back, have a good meal.
Yep.
I think Dave Williams.
Yeah, Dave Williams does an awesome job. The ribs. You get people just coming from out of nowhere like, who's this guy? I didn't know. Yeah. Did they wrestle? And then they're just coming up and going through and getting their ribs, which, we're pretty inviting group. So, it's been a great event. My brother Mark, it was really his baby. Like, hey, we're going to make this thing a huge thing. We're going to celebrate a group of people, and we got some names on a list right now. Getting a hold of those people to get them back. There's always people that are worthy. And I don't know if we can ever find too many people to thank, but there's some people that we'll honor like we always do. We'll talk about our team and really, get excited for the season because you're talking about. You're a month away from the season, but it just gives people a lot of reasons to come back. I mean, you have a game. This year we're going to be fortunate enough to have a homecoming, but then we have our conference tournament at home, and we're going to do an all-class reunion, and I know that's been getting out there a lot, so maybe some of the people that would come back to homecoming maybe won't come back until that, so I don't know how homecoming is going to be impacted by that, but we're really trying to make that one of the biggest events we've ever had, an all-class reunion, and I've talked to a lot of people that are farther away. I think they had one about 10 years ago, and I know I'm kind of delving off subject right here, but to me, anytime that we can get everybody back together, and homecoming's been a great opportunity to do that, and I think that the program and the talk that we put on, and you talk about Hall of Fame, who's going into the Hall of Fame year, we got, we're fortunate enough to have two people that are associated with our program and have had a huge impact on our program. Rich Powers is going in, and then Sandy Stevens is getting an award, and there really hasn't been anyone that's done more for UNI Wrestling, and she's gonna continue to do for UNI Wrestling even when she's gone, with the things she set up. So anybody that can get out and can honor those two and the rest of the inductees too, we certainly appreciate it. So I think October 1st, it's going to be a great event. The weather's usually been pretty nice, so we'll have a tent on. I'm not sure about direction wise. We'll have a tent on.
It's kind of that west side, isn't it?
West side of the dome, yeah. and if you're alumni, if you're a friend of the program, if you're anybody, come on out and be part of it.
And that's wrapped around also an open workout, mm-hmm. which is usually very well attended, and possibly the Fan Fest this mm-hmm. year too, that we just started last year. So Homecoming's going to be a big weekend. It's not only football; it's going to be more or less the kickoff of the wrestling season too. So jot that down. October 1st, Homecoming at UNI. Let's talk a little bit more about Rich and Sandy. Had them on the show last month.
Oh, you did?
And Sandy is just 100% class act. I guess if there was any fault in the interview, it was me because I didn't allot enough time for her. I should have had her probably the whole hour or at least 2 segments. But just a wealth of knowledge, phenomenal. Why don't you talk a little bit about what she's meant to the program?
Wow.
And then we'll bring up Rich after that.
I mean, just the unwavering support. I mean, it's it's consistent. You know, it's constant. The support that she's given since day one, since I've been here, has been incredible, and then it's only increased. You know, there's so many things that we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have the wrestling room without her. She was the primary reason that we have that room expanded right now. The Hall of Champions. You guys come in the West Gym and you ever see that where all those pictures are up? That's 100% her. She's like, we need to do something to celebrate our alums and the people that have come before us, and we need to do it right. The pledges for pins. She started that. I'm working on a letter right now and what the Pledges for Pins has done, how much it's raised since its inception in 2007. That wouldn't have happened without her. Not to mention that, you know, she's endowed my coaching position. I mean, that's just talking about monetary things you're doing. Now you're talking about the incredible just support that she has just for you and I in general. I mean, she's been on this board and that board. She still travels all around the world. I mean, she told me I can't even tell you how many crazy amount of books that she read. She is so sharp. I mean, you would not know that she's of the age that she is. You know, I mean, you wouldn't know. You'd be like, this lady, she must be about 50 years old. No, I mean, I know she's in her 70s, and she doesn't act like it, and I don't know what that's supposed to act like, but I'm saying she's outliving life. And the thing that always rings with me the most about Sandy is, I mean, she always asks about the kids. How are they doing? You know, she always wants to get to meet them and get to build a relationship with them. I mean, that's huge. But remember when me and Troy went over to ask her to, you know, about the gift to do the wrestling room. Her husband's been gone for quite a while, and I remember her talking about him just like it was just yesterday. You know, and I mean, to me that was like, wow, man, this. It makes you think, man, I want to have those kind of relationships too. You know, I mean, I was blown away that you could see how it still felt and how much, you know, she still loved and cared for him even though he'd been gone. You know, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of lady she is, man. She's just she's incredibly loyal, and man, she will fight and do everything she can to support those that she loved. And you know, we're just fortunate that she went to UNI.
Well, I'd agree with that. If you cannot talk to her and not see that. UNI, specifically UNI Wrestling, and Bill Cole, she'll talk about that at the drop of a hat, has impacted, obviously, her late husband and then her. So if you would emulate anything, you would emulate to be somewhat like a Bill Cole.
For sure.
Or anybody an athlete. I wrestled for Schwab, and just to kind of have that respect. That's kind of what I get out of that.
No, for sure. You know, and she's talked when she talked about her husband and that relationship they had, and I mean, it's like, man, that's the kind of coach I want to be too. You know, I want our guys, when they're 30 years down the line, they're still talking about things that they learned and that it stuck with them, and it made a difference because, you know, some of these guys maybe they don't have a father figure in their life, maybe they don't have someone around, you know, like he didn't, you know, and he took that role. So I think as coaches, you know, it's a good reminder. It was a great reminder for me, but just to see her and. Man, the passion that she still has and has for our program and has for her husband. I know we're going to put up. She talked to me about when we got our weight room and we got our weight room redone. There's a picture that she wanted to put up of a bear, and we're actually I don't know if she knew that I remembered it, but I'd asked her about it. So we're going to get it put up. So it'll be pretty cool.
So now let's talk about the other Hall of Fame inductee, Rich Powers, 3-time All-American, and. I actually told him this last month. He, to me, is the epitome of a student athlete. I mean, the guy now he's a superintendent bondurant for our school district. He's got his doctorate. Like I said, 3-time All-American. That's a guy that you can really hang your hat on and say, come to UNI, this is what you can turn into.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's married to a girl from Osage, so he's real smart.
Married a Green Devil?
Yeah, he married a Green Devil. So.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't remember if you remember him too much or not, Doug, but
I do.
He was kind of a Joe Laser before Joe Laser.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
real dangerous. Probably not quite as crazy as Joey, but man, when he got on top of you, he was going to turn you. And he was always working for a pin. Had like 50-some pins in college.
Yeah, ton of pins. I remember Cradle. I mean, I just remember him. Someone was going on their back. I do remember that. You know, I mean, it was. I was probably running around not paying attention, but I do remember when he came up. Usually, a guy went to his back, and a lot of times it was more than once. And you know, being a 3-time All-American, that's an accomplishment too. You know, I mean, just to do that and have 50+ pins in your college career. I mean, that's incredible. You know, I don't know if I had double-digit pins, So, I mean, to pin that many guys, and that's a lot of points for a team. And just, I think how he wrestled that exciting style, too. I think that's what people, if I ever talk to anyone, they're like, I remember, man, he was so fun to watch. He's doing this and that. And I think that's, with our team, that's like one thing we always want to point to, man. Let's be creative. And the thing that I like is that he did it a different way, too. It wasn't maybe your prototypical, it wasn't maybe a grind bang type guy. Like I said, he did it on top and he scored different ways. And I think that's just another example that a lot of ways to get it done, and then you just trying to find guys that fit into the program. And obviously he's a guy that fit into this program, fit at UNI and had a great experience here and is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. So I know we're proud of him and looking forward to honoring him on that date.
So you talked a little bit ago about, obviously you don't start training for the Olympics, if it's 2020 and 2019 and go, it's about time to get going, I guess. So I'm going to throw that back to, we just got done with some summer workouts. Mm-hmm. And want you to talk about maybe some things you concentrated on and overall how the summer workouts go.
Bottom positions is a big thing right now. So we want our guys to all feel like it doesn't matter who's on top of them, they can get away. I think I know for me, my freshman year in college, I lost 14 matches and I lost most of them because I got ridden. I got beaten. Right. And then I remember coming back from the national tournament. It was Monday, and it's like, man, I got to learn how to get off the bottom. Right. And it made the difference the next year. Obviously you go from not placing to win a national title. But I think we want our guys to be confident that they have a plan, So we really put a system, and Lee and the coaches, we put a system together. Like, here's the areas that we really want you to go on bottom. And I think that we give them a lot of creative and a lot of flexibility, especially on their feet, because guys have different things. But bottom, I mean, you're just kind of seeing certain things that continue to happen where guys are getting away. So we're trying to get those guys back to those positions, and then being aware if this guy kind of gives this reaction, here's where we're going, and just get them back to those positions over and over and over again, so they know they can get away. So we spent a lot of time there, and done a lot of strength training, just kind of putting more of a year-round system for our guys. And you're seeing their bodies start to transform, and they look better. But a lot of these guys are starting to go into understanding that, all your choices matter. It's not like I can work out a couple times a day and then I don't have to worry about what I eat. I can work out a couple times a day and then, I don't have to worry about sleep. Well, I can work out, and all those things matter, especially when we're trying to go to the highest level. And you're talking about Olympic level. You're talking about the elite of the elite, the 0.01% of what you're trying to go to. I mean, that limited number, all those choices matter, and they matter today. They matter today, like I said before, as much as they're going to matter a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now. Well, we're getting close to a competition, so I'm really going to buckle down now. Like, that's the true competitors and the guys that are actually in the games right now. I don't believe they think that way. And I've been around a lot of guys that have done it, and they don't think that way. I know it. So to me, then it's just we're kind of wishing. And we don't want to wish. We want to prepare and have guys prepared as possible and give them the best possible opportunity.
Okay, listen on the mat with Jeff Bradley and Doug Schwab. We're going to take a short break and be right back.
The Cedar Valley Sports Station, 1650 The Fan, KCNZ.
Welcome back to On the Mat. Jeff Bradley here with Doug Schwab. I'm going to start off. I want to talk a little bit about your Olympic experience, and it's with the Olympics going on now, I know the wrestling's not going to be till the tail end of the 2 weeks, but just give me a little bit about your 2008. I mean, you made the team, which that you've just got to be on cloud nine. You made the team, and I mean, I'm going to read through the guys that you're on the team with, but hey, you've made the team, and was it just like another trip overseas, or was it just blown out of proportion because it was the Olympics?
You built it up in your head, and that's. I think going through those things as a competitor, it helps you as a coach, to prepare your guys more, because, man, when you build things up, and it doesn't matter, you can build up the Pee Wee State tournament when you're a kid, right. But I mean, it still goes back to wrestling and being prepared, and sometimes you get overwhelmed by things, and I think that happens to a lot of guys on a lot of different stages, So I think, you built it up in your head some. We were there 2 weeks, I think, before we competed.
So you were in Beijing 2 weeks before?
Yeah. Before.
Okay. Just getting acclimated? Acclimated
you're going to be there for opening ceremonies, so you're going to be around. So we train there. We're around the village. We're around the other athletes. Got to see some events. So so there was probably a little build up, on that, just being around it that much and that long.
So here's probably a naive question. I don't know the answer to this. I probably should. What do you guys do for food, for lodging? I know you have the village. Is it like a dorm?
Yeah.
Is the food all American food brought in, or we?
They have a little bit of everything. They actually have a McDonald's in the Olympic Village.
They do.
Oh, yeah, they got a McDonald's in the Olympic Village.
It's a good training meal.
Yeah. And what's funny is one of the days those NBA guys came in. And they happened to sit where we were sitting, and some of them, that's what they were eating, So I mean, but they have a huge buffet of all different kinds of things. But then USA has their own place too that we would go train. That was separate from the village. So USA, I'm sure it's similar because I've seen
wrestling
these guys,
or all sports.
All sports.
Okay.
But then wrestling, that's where our mats were. That's where we went and trained.
Okay.
So I would imagine they have that similar at this one. I don't know. I'm not a Rio, but I would say that they have their own place that USA, and then they bring all the food in and make you pretty much what you want and what you need. The village, like I said, it's buffet. There's all kinds of different options that you have. There's all kinds of food, and like it's open all the time. I mean, so your nutrition needs are taken care of. Sometimes when you go, maybe you go in the middle of nowhere, you go in some of these places and you're limited maybe on your options and your food. It wasn't like that at all. And then, like I said, then USA had something beyond for its athletes too.
And then only credentialed coaches, athletes in the village.
Yeah, or you could sign in. Like my wife got to come in one day, but you got to sign up to do it, and then they got to do a check and everything. Okay. So yeah, I mean you can get on the village, but it's pretty much just it's the athletes. I mean Zadok didn't actually get on the team till a couple of days before the competition. So he wasn't in the village at all until a couple of days before.
Right.
So yeah, I mean it's pretty tight. It's a tight security deal.
So a typical day, if you're in the village, you're going to see swimmers walk by, gymnasts, just all the famous athletes, and obviously you're a famous athlete also because you're an Olympian. But it just is it just. Well, that's what it is, or is it kind of eye-opening a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's an immense amount of respect for everyone because, they understand. I think everyone understands the amount of work that was put in. I mean, it's not like anybody just, like I said, they just rolled out of bed and showed up and like, hey, I'm an Olympian. I mean, I think we all know, and whatever level it is. I know, like. Some of those guys don't stay. They don't stay in the village. Like the NBA team didn't stay in the village. I think they got their own. They got their own deal. But they came in and they were around. The beforehand, people always ask me, what was the best part? And there was some pretty cool the opening ceremonies because you start thinking about it. And we met. So everyone, all of Team USA met before. And then everyone's back there, and all the NBA guys are there, and some guys are getting pictures. And then actually the president came, and that was Bush at the time, and talked. And then his dad was there, so you got to meet all those, and you just kind of got to mingle with all the other athletes, and just kind of be around, and kind of that energy and that excitement of, hey, this is Olympics, this is everyone together. And then when you got to go out and you started walking together, and then you start chanting, USA, and everybody, you go out in the arena was a pretty cool deal. I mean, that's something I'll never forget. And someone asked me, did you tape it? One of my friends asked me, he's like, did you video it? I'm like, I don't want to video it. I mean, not everything has to be documented. Some things are just, man, I want to actually enjoy it because I don't want to have my phone up and be like, I'm trying to do that when I just want to soak it in. And like, this is, I mean, looking at it is going to be one of the only times in your lifetime you ever get to do something like this. So I just wanted to kind of just make it kind of the real moment and really soak it in and enjoy it. And it was a really incredible thing. I mean, I definitely won't forget it.
You're listening to Jeff Bradley and Doug Schwab. It's On the Mat. Hey, I want to talk about that opening ceremonies again. Just one little follow-up question on that. So you're walking the track. Mm-hmm. The flag bearer's up ahead of you. People are chanting USA. And I remember that Olympics because China actually had a crazy good opening ceremony show. Is that the most prideful you've ever been for your country? I mean, is it?
I don't know about that. I mean, that's a hard. I mean, you are, but I think it's everyone together, but then it's different when you're out there on your own too, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just, you're incredibly proud just to be there and know that maybe, there's 500 athletes from the U.S. maybe, and, you're one of those guys. There's only 500 that made it to this point, you know? So I think, when you start putting the scope and the magnitude of it, I think I was probably more, I guess, to understand the magnitude of and how much it resonates with just America is, all the people that bought a shirt or donated or sent a message. Right. It was absolutely incredible. Just the number of people that, man, this is, we're behind you. And it is not like, well, you went to this other school, so we're not behind. It's everyone's behind you. So I think those are some things. It was just seeing everyone unite together, because we don't get that enough. So these guys that are competing, I don't care what school they went to. They're all Team USA now, man. USA's all on their back, right. And I think that's one thing we got to remember. So I don't know. I'm getting long-winded in my answer because I start thinking about things, but
the team in 2008. I thought this was just curious. You had Henry Cejudo, and then it was you, Ben Askren, Horvat,
Mike Zadek.
Oh, Mike Zadek. I'm sorry, Daniel Cormier, and then Mako. So I started going through, okay, Cejudo didn't even go to college.
Nope. I should have started fighting with that group, man. Look at those guys, man.
Yeah. You were an NCAA champ. Askren was. Horvat, best he ever got was 4th. Cormier, I think he was a runner-up one year.
Yep.
And then Mako won 2.
He got beat by KL, so.
Yeah, well, true. But what I'm saying is there's different routes to having success in college and then having it on the next level international, too. Yeah,
no doubt. He didn't go to college, and he won a dang Olympic title, had an incredible tournament, looked great doing it. Pico's kind of doing that route right now, right. where he just, and actually he got out of high school early, but there's certainly a lot of ways in. Just because you're not an NCAA champion doesn't mean you can't be a world and Olympic champion either, So I think that they said there is a lot of routes to get there, and really it's going to be go back to choices, man. What these choices are these guys going to make, and how disciplined are they going to be in something that's 4 years from now? How disciplined are they going to be today for that? And if they're willing to do that, then they're going to give themselves the best opportunity. That's kind of how I went, and I had some great examples. I was around a great environment, with people that had been there before, and hey, man, this is what you need to do, yeah. and certainly helped, But it comes down to you if you're going to make that, but.
So last question on the Olympics. You were on the world team the year before, 2007, and wrestled in the world championships. Could you tell a difference in intensity or anything between a world championship and an Olympic year, even though it's still a world championship, it's just an Olympic year?
There's a different energy. There's no doubt, just in the arena. In the feel. From being in Baku and Azerbaijan to Beijing. There was definitely, and maybe it goes back to it was built up in your head too. Maybe there really wasn't, but there was certainly a different energy. And you and I both know that guys, they do get geared up for an Olympic year. People remember guys who were Olympic champions. They remember Olympians probably more than they remember a guy getting a world medal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's a fair thing. I'm just saying that's how it is, because people. It's every 4 years, they say the slogan "and forever an Olympian." I don't know if I'm not there yet for that stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm not proud of it, but I'm just saying that's, and you are, people do remember that. They remember that way more than and I know because I've been around it, and world championships are probably actually, it's a tougher tournament because more countries get in.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but it's just the notoriety of Olympics, and it's a huge stage. You see it, every little thing is on TV. It's posted. Everyone that's got a story, it's out there. So, yeah.
So we're going to switch back to a little you and I wrestling. I know you've been spending a lot of time on the road this summer.
Yeah.
On the recruiting trail, I know specifically names, things like that you can't mention. Mm-hmm. What you want to talk a little bit about your recruiting, though?
When they, I guess last year they opened up, so September 1st you can start calling juniors. So some of these guys we've been talking to for, it's going to be coming on a year. So we've been spending a lot of time, but just building relationships with these kids. To me, that's the most important thing. And knowing that they're the fit at UNI, and they fit into our culture and our team and our the expectations of what we're doing and want to be here. And yeah, I mean, we have some kids that we're really excited about, and that I feel like it's just a visit away. Like they got to make their official visit, and which we can start doing. We won't have any probably till September 10th, but we'll start doing those official visits. We start getting guys in, and then I think those commitments will start to come. I don't like to force things, but you feel good about where you're at with kids, about the relationship we built, and that they just really, hey, I just need to get up here. I need to see it. I need to feel it, because I can tell them. I can tell them all about, we're this, we got this family atmosphere, and we're this and that, but they have to feel it for themselves, because they got to kind of, I guess, cipher through what's real and what's not too, But I think we're real and genuine about how we care about our guys and our athletes, and I think that shines through, and we get them on visits. So hopefully, I know September and then October 1st, actually, homecoming will be another. We'll have a couple of big dates, and we'll start getting some guys locked down.
Well, let's transition to some guys that'll be on campus here in a couple weeks that will be true freshmen.
Yep. And
I'm going to just pick out three of the bigger names. Let's start out with Rudy Yates.
You see how I smile because how the guy competes. He wrestled. He hadn't wrestled in a freestyle tournament. I don't know. I mean, since he was a young kid. So he went to one of the regionals, won that, and then he went and wrestled at probably the toughest weight. 38 was one of the toughest weights up in Fargo, and placed 5th, and was way undersized doing it. I mean, he's a 25 pounder. He's not a 41 pounder, which he was going up against, and he was right there with every one of those guys, and gave him everything he could handle. Even the matches he lost, he got freestyled in positions. But as far as just attacking and the type of competitor he is, and how he hustles back to the center, and how he attacks and has fun. I mean, it's contagious. I think people are absolutely going to love watching him compete. I mean, I know I did. I was entertained watching him. I'm just like, man, this guy's awesome. This is fun to watch. I can't wait till he competes again. And those type of things, they're infectious with your team. Because really, he told me that Bill Wick, who was actually his coach his first year. So Bill Wick was his coach his first year at Brother Rice. He said he was getting ready for the state finals, and he came up to him before, because Rudy's kind of bounced around, maybe a little bit nervous. And he's like, "Hey, man, there's 6 billion people in the world. Only a few even know this match exists." Like this, kind of put it in perspective for him, and that's kind of how he goes about it. Like, I'm just going to go out and let it fly. I'm going to have fun doing it, and he's got some. Before his last match, he had a mustache on and was wearing a American flag. He's got outgoing personality. He's wearing pink shoes. But man, he is fun to watch, and he's going to be a fan favorite.
He's going to be a breath of fresh air at the West Gym for sure. Yeah. Let's go to now. We'll go to the other spectrum. Yep. Heavyweight Carter Isley.
Yep. Isley. He just doesn't know how good he is yet. Once he realizes how good he is and how strong he is and how skilled he is, I mean, the sky's the limit. I have no doubt that we got the best heavyweight out there. And I'm excited to get him on campus, and excited just to continue to get him to grow and build. And he dinged up his hand pretty good at the training camp, and went through Greco, placing Greco, and then it's like we really don't have any left to prove. But he wanted to go out there, and he's dinged up, and it affected him some, but he didn't make an excuse of it. I'm probably giving him an excuse more than anything. But I like seeing a guy, even though he's hurt a little bit, and knowing that sometimes I have to go out there and do that. Like I said, those are a couple pretty good bookends. I'm excited to get him up here, and just excited to get him to be able to train full-time wrestling. He's never been able to do that. He's been a multi-sport guy and been a really good football player, but get him where he's 100% focused on wrestling, man. And really the sky is absolutely the limit for him.
Yeah, and he's not one of those heavyweights that you're going to build up from, in the 90s or 200s. He weighs 250, I think, now. He's full-grown man. He's 250
and solid, and he's got ballerina feet.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good hands, quick feet. So he's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. Last guy, I know we don't have much time left in the segment. Tyler Hoffman, 2-time national champ from Iowa Central's transferring in.
Yeah, just he wanted to come here right out of the gate, and we kind of kept that relationship open and went and won 2 JUCO titles, which was great. That's what he could do at that level. Workhorse. Now just kind of 84, 97. We'll see. We needed some depth in there, and like I said, he's just working and getting better. There's some skill areas that need some improvement, some footwork things that we're spending time on. And the great thing is man, he's a small town Iowa boy that, hey man, I'm ready to get my hands dirty and go to work, and that's the type of kid he is. And you talk about we have some other kids that are coming on campus that a bunch of them wrestled actually up in Fargo. Cameron Lopez from Illinois, Michael Kordek from Illinois. Brandon Haas wrestled. Jeremy Rodman, kid from Minnesota. We got Gilliams coming in. I don't know if I probably missed somebody, and that's my bad if I did. Frank Walsh, who was here this summer. So, some kids that, I don't, who are those guys? Well, you're gonna know their names. You're gonna know their names, and they're the right kind of kid that they're coming in excited about being part of UNI's program, and they're gonna help build our program, and they're gonna make it better. So you talk kind of about those headlining guys, but we got a lot of guys underneath that make our team what it is. Our team's 38. It's not just one guy, and that's one thing that I think we will always try to key on with our guys, is that every single guy is important. They have a purpose, and that they're all giving back to our team, and that's what's going to make our team great, and that's what makes a Panther train run.
Well, Coach Schwab, thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk to us on the mat, and we'll be back after a short break with J.J. Everard.
1650 The Fan, KCNZ.
Welcome back to On the Mat. Third segment is going to be with UNI heavyweight, J.J. Everard. J.J.'s out in Las Vegas right now. He's taking a little break, visiting his folks. How's your day going out there? I know you're a couple hours behind us, but it's probably 122 degrees out there, I suppose. What is it?
Yeah, dude, it's hot. It's like 107 all day, and you really don't want to go outside. I went on a run this morning, and it was still like 92.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only time you could work out is morning or night.
You got to go early in the morning if you're going to go for a run.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, first-time guest, and every first-time guest, the first 2 questions come from my kids, and they're pretty tough, so put your thinking cap on. My daughter Morgan wants to know what your favorite color is.
Favorite color is Carolina blue. I'm a big Panther fan, so that's my favorite color. So.
And my son Jake obviously wants to know what your favorite food is.
Favorite food, huh? I don't know. I like steak. Steak's always good. You can't go wrong with a good steak. I'd probably say steak.
Now, I had Coach Schwab on the first 2 segments. He wanted me to ask you, I don't want to embarrass you on the air, but I'm going to probably have to, how'd the horse championship work out? What's that all about?
Oh, no, he did.
Yeah, he did.
So I beat everyone in horse on the team, and I just can't beat him. It's, I don't know, just me and him make it to the finals most of the time, and he just, we have this thing where you don't usually play like this, but you get 2 chances on your last, when you're on F.
Yeah, you got to prove it, yeah.
Yeah, but, so every time I get him, when he misses the first one, like one game he made like 8 of them on his second try, and he just would never miss. And, I haven't beat him yet, but when I get back, it's on, so.
Yeah, he told me he hit, and I wasn't there, but he told me he hit 12 out of 13 3-pointers. Now, I will tell you, I've had some success against him, and he can shoot the 3-ball. What you have to do is you have to be ambidextrous. I shoot left-handed, and he has a lot of trouble with that. I'm just going to let you know that.
Yeah, that's what I did on the last one. I was doing lefty layups and, like, underneath with some crazy stuff, and he still managed to get me.
So, JJ, what's your major at UNI?
Physical education, teaching, coaching.
So what do you see yourself doing then, after you graduate and done competing and moving on with your life? Are you seeing, like, teaching school, coaching, that kind of thing?
Yeah, probably teaching, coaching. I never really knew what I wanted to do when I was choosing majors and whatnot, and I always thought, wrestling, coaching, that'd be pretty cool, and I think I'd be pretty good at it. So I teach PE, probably back in California. That's where I would think, but yeah, teaching, coaching seems pretty cool to me. So talk a little bit
how you got started wrestling, your age, and you're out in the West Coast. How you got introduced to the sport?
I started when I was young. My dad wrestled, and he coached for 20+ years. So my dad just got me into it at a young age. So I pretty much just got introduced that way, and it's been going strong ever since. So.
And then, did you have a lot of early success, or was it later in junior high, high school?
Yeah, I did pretty good. Especially young, I got like third in the junior regional or whatever, and I actually competed hard, sort of, but we didn't travel too much, just like once in a while. And then my dad gave me like 7th and 8th grade off. He said I was like burnt out, and just like lots of kids are when you start too early. And then when I got back in high school and whatnot, I don't know, it was fun again. So, and then it led to college, and it's been all right so far. So.
You're listening On the Mat with Jeff Bradley and J.J. Everard, UNI heavyweight. Hey, talk a little bit about just growing up in California, and obviously different than the Midwest now that you're out here, but just the things you did when you were growing up and the hobbies and fun things that you did.
I'm pretty much always outside because the weather is great all year. So I was always outside doing, playing sports, playing things. Me and my friends went to the beach a lot, just because it was like 30, 45 minutes for me. So we always went there. We were always just doing things outside, and plenty of things to do. It's just always beautiful. So I'm in Nevada now, so it's a little more deserty, but it's not that bad right now.
So if you're
growing up there was awesome. You can't really beat it. So
when you're on the beach so much, did you learn how to surf?
Oh no, I'm a terrible at like balancing things, and I've tried to surf quite a bit, and I just always fall off. So I'm not.
It's pretty fun. I've done it actually out on Southern California and Hawaii, but real small waves. Like 2-3 foot waves, really small, and I can get up and stay up for a few minutes, and then I fall down. But I think I'm good. So.
Yeah, then it's just whatever.
So JJ, let's talk a little bit about your high school career. Successes and things you learned there.
My school went all right. California has one division, so I was around the 12er twice.
Okay.
So that kind of sucks. When you make it to the second day, the round of 12 round, they give you the speech like this is like the best and whatnot. And I lost on the morning of both years. So and that last year I was ranked like 2 or 3, and I just had a bad match. So that sucked, but it was all right, I guess. I had the most wins in my high school and whatnot, but just wish I would have did a little better there. But
So just to make the state tournament in California, how many districts or sectionals or regionals do you have to go through just to make it? Because there's so many schools and there's only one class.
It's like a 5-week process. So it's like you have your local schools that you duel, like your rivals. It's called league finals.
Yes.
So that's like 6 to 10 teams, and that's like a one-day tournament. Then after that, there's a duel actually. So there's like a sectional duels, which you only duel your section. So that's like a little mini, like a sectional duel thing. So then that's the second week, and then that doesn't really matter. Like if you win that, it's just bragging rights, I guess. And then after that, it's the sectional individuals or the divisionals. That's what it's called. And that's like a 32-man 2-day tournament, so pretty big. And then there's like 5 or 6 of those. I want to say there's 6, and that's just in my section, the southern section. So there's like 8 sections, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections throughout the state. And then, so that's the third week. And the fourth week is the actual section, which is another 32-man. And you take the top 5 out of the division, go into the section. My section took top 9. I think like Central took 9, and like say like San Diego would take like 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of those sections go state, which the state's like a weird, like a 42-man. I think it's like some weird number like that. And, and that's the 5th week, and that's when state is. So it's a hard process. So, yeah, it's kind of good to go there for sure. I'd say qualifiers, pretty good, I guess. But, it's a long and weird little deal there.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's you almost have to keep your peak or keep your focus for 5 or 6 weeks just to get to the state tournament and then get through the state tournament. Was it hard to keep your focus for that long towards the end of the season?
Not really. That was 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago for me, so I don't really remember. But I don't think it was that bad. You definitely have to keep your focus, but wrestling's wrestling. Just gotta wrestle.
Yeah, and it's not like you know anything different. You don't know any other states or have a sectional district in a state. That's just what you've grown up with.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you got to South Dakota State originally. Just a little bit about your recruitment process, who you were looking at, and how you finally decided on South Dakota State.
Okay, so I wasn't the biggest heavily recruited guy. When you're just a qualifier, that's good, but coaches kind of look at placing. So all I was really looking at was Boise State and South Dakota. And South Dakota put just a bigger interest on me. They were just calling me. And I want to go D1. I knew I had some skills that I could, do well. So I want to go D1, and South Dakota offered the most money, I guess. So, went there. So.
And then, was that a hard transition? You were South Dakota for 3 years before you transferred to UNI, but was it a hard transition from California to South Dakota?
Yeah, the main thing was the weather. That wasn't very fun for sure. My first couple blizzards and storms were I was kind of scared. I was like, dude, it's crazy. And the power goes out sometimes, and it was just damn. But people-wise, it was different in a good way too. People in the Midwest are so much different than California. They actually care about what you're talking about, and people in California don't really care about you. It's weird, and they don't have manners. Maybe, I don't know, but it's just different in a good way though. It was a big change, but after a couple months, I get used to things, and I don't have much. I'm not very needy, so I'm all right with most things.
So, had you ever seen snow before you moved out to South Dakota?
It snowed at my house once, and it was only for an hour.
Oh, wow.
So we had a cool little snowball fight at the school, and then it melted by the time we got done with our class.
So now let's talk about how you got to UNI, transferred from South Dakota State to UNI. Just talk a little bit about that thought process.
You say talk about how I got to UNI, you said?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of hard to hear.
Yeah.
So I got to UNI mainly because of Andrew Sorensen. He was my coach for 2 years at South Dakota. And when I knew I had to leave, and I got my release and everything, I gave him a call and kind of just asked him how it was. And I knew it'd be a good situation with Blaze and someone to train with, someone better than me. And, he kind of gave me the lowdown how it was, and came there, checked it out, and it was awesome.
So how quickly did you assimilate with the coaches and the other athletes at UNI? Did you fall right in the mix with them? Was there a little feeling out process like the new guy on the block?
Yeah, kind of. But everyone was really cool to me. That was the thing that I didn't really want to do when I was leaving. Was I didn't want to meet new people, make new friends, and that just I didn't feel like doing that. But it was pretty easy. I thought everyone was just welcoming, and it wasn't hard at all. Everyone was cool, so it was pretty easy for me.
So then you hadn't used your red shirt, so you used it last year. Had a really good, successful red shirt year last year, and I'd say for summer workout wise, I think you've climbed a whole nother step on the ladder. Just what I've witnessed. Why don't you talk a little bit about your summer workouts and what you've been focusing on?
basically, I'm just trying to keep my conditioning up. I'm still getting bigger, but I've got some pretty good, leg attacks that I don't do as much as I should. So I'm trying to get the cardio up, trying to get the gas tank high, and put up more points. That's my main thing. I'm getting pretty funky with Roper. That's been pretty fun. But I'm just working on everything, top, bottom, neutral, trying to ride a little more. Not very good at that, but just trying to score more, man. I know I can, so that's all I'm trying to do, really.
Well, JJ, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Stay out of that heat out there in Las Vegas. But really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Also want to thank our first guest, Coach Doug Schwab from UNI. And thank everybody for listening. Good night.
You've been listening to On the Mat, a presentation of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum, and brought to you by Rolling Ford in Shell Rock on 1650 The Fan, KCNZ.
This show is part of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MatTalkOnline.com.